This is Bumper to Bumper, the car show. Drive in anxious and cruise out confident. With the best automotive information for your vehicle. And now your hosts, Matt Allen and Dave Riccio.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio here along with Matt Allen, and together we are your KTAR car guys, heard every Saturday from 11 to noon. At Bumper to Bumper Radio, we're helping you, the motoring public, have a better overall car experience. So if you got car questions, we've got car answers, and encourage you to give us a call at 602-277-5827, 602-277-KTAR. And today on the Bumper to Bumper Roadmap, of course, we're taking your phone calls, we're taking your text. And you know what, Matt?
Tell me, Dave, what?
It's September 1st. I think we get to be the first to welcome everybody to the Burr months. I love the Burr months. It's just kind of starting to chill out as far as the heat goes. September, then there's October. I love October. November, you get turkey. December, you get presents. It's a good time of year.
What do you get in January? A bill.
Yeah.
Speaking of bills, right? I mean, January, what do they call that? The credit card hangover month for a lot of people, you know?
Well, it's when the gym gets busy. New Year's resolutions, right?
I know. I say this year. The
Mondays in January.
First couple weeks of the year, there's no place to park at the gym. Just give it, 3 weeks or so, and that's all over. But, whether it's not sticking to the gym, but you know what? You go out and you buy a new car, you can quit the gym, but you can't quit making the car payments.
Keep
so
going.
That's what we're going to talk about is the cost of ownership of what it takes to own your car. And we're talking about the whole all in. We're talking all in. So we've got some assumptions. Dave's got some math. We kind of bantered this out, and we think we got it pretty doggone accurate.
This starts because I had a guy at my shop yesterday, 75,000 miles on his Grand Cherokee, radio listener, and he says, yeah, I think I'm going to get something else because he had a $2,600 repair bill with me, and he's like, it's been costing me a lot of money lately, and so I thought about it. Okay, 75,000 miles. Well, let's just say you're gonna drive a car for 10 years. It's going to happen. You're going to drive 15,000 miles a year. So in 10 years, you're going to go 150,000 miles.
So these are some of our assumptions we're basing all this math on.
And they're pretty common. I mean, it's pretty realistic when we see cars coming through. 15,000 miles a year is pretty normal. So you can do that with one car or you can do that with two cars.
Okay, but let's back up a little. So the assumptions are we're going to buy a $35,000 car.
A $30,000 car with tax and everything is going to be $35,000.
Round numbers. You walk out the door. Let's just assume you paid cash, you left the dealership, you left them $35,000, you drove away with a new car. We're going to assume you're going to drive it 15,000 miles a year, and we're going to assume that over a 10-year period, you will spend $15,000. Is that right, Dave?
$15,000 on maintenance.
On maintenance over 10 years or 150,000 miles. So those are the blanket assumptions.
And one more assumption. You're going to trade it in. It's going to be worth $5,000 as a trade-in at the end of 10 years.
At the end of 10 years.
So it's going to cost you $45,000 to drive a car for 10 years and go 150,000 miles, which breaks down to about $375 a month. And we just break it up.
Yeah.
$375 a month. So now that's option number one. Option number two is, hey, I run a car to 75,000 miles when the repair bills start to set in, okay? That car's still going to need brakes. That car's still going to need tires. That car's still going to need oil changes, but the maintenance is not going to be nearly as high as it is the other one.
It's going to cost you about $5,000 in maintenance to get to 75,000 miles.
So, but with that version, it's talking about the same car, $32,000 car with tax, $35,000. That's what it's going to be, and then the maintenance. So we got that car, and let me see my other little homework here. That car for 5 years is going to cost me $29,000. But if I double that, because I'm going to get 10 years and 150,000 miles, essentially over $58,000 to drive that car for 10 years. So $58,000. Versus our other option was $45,000. Well, I can't do math very well. What is that?
Well, I don't know. We're starting to slip a little bit here with these numbers. Start to get confusing, Dave. We had a lot of them going, but the bottom line is, if you're going to take 10 years of owning a car, you can own one car for 10 years, or you can own two cars in 10 years. The cost of owning two cars for 10 years was $58,000. And the cost of doing that same driving, the same length of time in a car was
45,000.
Was 45,000 miles for 10 years. So, then we backed into the math, but the bottom line is you can break that down to a per mile cost, which is the reductionist way to look at things, and that's how salespeople sell.
Oh, yeah, just don't go to Starbucks, and you can have this new car.
$2 a day, just skip Starbucks. Well, you won't go to, you'll meet your friends at Starbucks more often to show them your new car, probably.
I'll get a water.
Right? But so there's that price difference. And we factored in that your 75,000-mile car gets a little bit less maintenance. We didn't just cut the maintenance in half.
No,
because we know that 90 and 120,000, you need to spend a little bit of money. And you got to remember, this is the cost of also buying the car, just not the maintenance. So we're assuming that you've gone and paid cash for your car, right? So I think the takeaway, there's a couple of takeaways here, Dave. One is just a lot less money over a 10-year period to own one car instead of two. Yeah. It's $8,000, $8,000 to $12,000 roughly.
But here's where the emotion comes up, because this guy that gave me $2,600 on his Jeep Grand Cherokee for the repair at 75,000 miles, he goes, well, yeah, it's getting expensive right now. There's a ton of emotion when he's got to give me stroke me a check for $2,600, but he's not looking at the big scheme of things. Now, if he's got plenty of money and savings and all that stuff and it doesn't matter to him, yeah, buy a new car every 3 years if you want to. You know what? This one doesn't smell new anymore. I'm going to buy another one.
Well, we've got some math on that, too. We don't have the hard figures. We have a historical article. But if you pay cash for the car, fine. But then let's take this cost of ownership for 10 years, and let's just talk about the maintenance part of it. We've kind of proved it out. It's about $15,000, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit. You couldn't just split that in thirds or cut it in half or whatever, because it's going to be heavier towards not at the very end of the life cycle of the car, but around the 70% of the life cycle. You're going to have some bigger bill in there in that 100,000 mile range. Brain fart.
Yeah, that's okay. But here's the deal, and it's the emotions. Let's say you are one of those persons going to own a car for 10 years. Okay, so you go buy the car, and if you're like neglecting the maintenance, just know it's going to cost you the money whether you do it or not. If you don't do the maintenance, that trade-in value at the end of 5 years or the end of 10 years, it's nothing. And if you do keep it 10 years and you neglect the maintenance, you're not going to spend $15,000. You're going to spend $25,000.
You're going to have broken down car and repairs. But what I was getting at before my brain had a little gas.
What happens a lot later.
Was just forget about if you finance the car, that's fine. I'm not saying anything good or bad about financing a car versus the ability to pay cash for it or not. That doesn't really factor into our deal here. But if you are going to go out and finance a car and you're going to have your $400 a month car payment, you still need, in this equation, you still need to have an envelope, if we want to do the Dave Ramsey way, from the month number one on your brand new 2018 car. If you're going to keep it for 10 years, besides your car payment, you got to put $100. Round numbers, $125, $100 in an envelope every month. And that's going to build up a little bit the first year. But it might go in the negatives at some point, and then it will go back in the positive.
Mm-hmm.
But, Dave, the round number, you're going to put $8,000 to $12,000 in your bank account over 10 years if you own one car instead of two.
Yeah.
And that car that you keep for 10 years will be just as nice as the guy who bought a second car.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you've owned yours for 10. By the time he's owned his at 5, by the time he's at the end of the same year period, and let's just say you bought 2 Hondas or 2 Toyotas or whatever, and one's 5 years newer, you put them next to each other 10 years from now, they're going to be damn near the same car.
Well,
so
the
technology's coming on everything. If you've got a 10-year-old car now, you don't have GPS and nav and all that stuff. In the future, they all have it now, and they're all going to have it later. So you're not getting much more in the upgrade. So I could see when the technology was changing more, like now, maybe I want to get some bells and whistles. There's not very more bells and whistles we can add to cars.
Well, they're coming.
Well,
but
but there's self-driving and some of that kind of stuff. But again, you park that 10-year-old car next to the 5-year-old car, the second car, they're darn near going to be the same.
Well, here's the thing about the cost of ownership. If you neglect these cars, if you get your dent on your fender because you're putting your $125 away a month, or $100 away a month to fix your car, which you should be doing, fix the dent on the fender. That way when you have the car at 6 years, you're like, oh, I don't like my car anymore. You will still like your car if you take care of it. It's the emotions of one little incident. If we look at it there on the granular level, we're going to be unhappy. But if we just know there's a cost to ownership of $100 a month in addition to having already paid for the car. So, and even on the car that you only drive for 5 years and you sell it at 75,000 miles, you're not going to spend that much money on maintenance, but you're going to take, a bigger hit in having to buy a car twice.
Yeah. Well, and the depreciation value. Yeah. I mean, that $30,000 car after 5 years, trade-in value was only $10,000.
I tell you what, it takes me 5 years just to get the driver's seat fit in my butt just right. So why would I want to get rid of that? I got to retrain a car,
To get worn in. Exactly. So we can talk. We'll break this down. Again, this show is about whatever you guys want to talk about. You're sitting on a big car debt. Maybe you're really considering getting out of your car. A lot of times you're financing bad debt into another car, and you're still paying for a car that you owned 3 years ago, 5 years from now. So let's look at, we can break this down for you. I don't care if you've got the big list. Maybe it's decision time. Maybe you're the guy that just got the list of all these repairs you need, and you've really got to decide, is this car worth keeping or selling, and what do we do? We can break all that down because this show is about helping you, regardless of whether it's the list, buying your car, selling a car, making a good decision. But one good decision is to always have your battery checked.
Yeah, and putting good batteries in your car is a good decision also, because you know what? One of the things that wrecks cars is crummy battery that leaks acid on other wiring and other components and doesn't get secured right and is bouncing around under the hood. You can take a car that you're only keeping 5 years and still wreck it by putting crummy batteries in it. So we check every battery that comes through the door, and if it needs a battery, we put a good interstate battery in it because they are covered nationwide, coast to coast, and they're a good battery. Free replacement warranties for 2-3 years.
Interstate batteries got time. I'm going to comment about that. There's these roadside service companies that sell batteries. Well, there's not all battery sizes are popular anymore. So they don't, there's this one group size 58 that fits a lot of Fords, but just not that popular anymore. Well, the roadside service company says, they don't make that battery anymore. Well, what it really means is they don't sell it anymore, so they put a universal fit.
You know what they do? All their guys have a shoehorn in their toolbox.
Yeah.
You got one of those shoehorn tools? Yeah, I sure do. And they shoehorn that wrong battery right in your car.
Make it fit because it's convenient.
Go to a bumper-to-bumper shop, pick yourself up at Interstate Battery. We'll be right back taking your phone calls at 602-277-5827. You listen to Matt and Dave, your KTAR car guys on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Trust. It's hard to earn and sometimes even harder to find. If you live or work in downtown Phoenix, Matt Allen's Virginia Auto Service is celebrating over 20 years of award-winning service at the corner of 7th Street and Virginia. Recognized as one of the best service shops in the country, their customers have come to trust Virginia Auto Service for its A-plus rating by the BBB, 2-year 24,000-mile warranties, and free transportation to and from your home or office. 20-plus years of earning your trust. Virginia Auto Service. They're serious about service.
It sounds like they've just had the accurate automotive experience. We're family-owned and operated and have served the Mesa, Tempe, Gilbert communities for over 22 years. We focus on building long-lasting relationships and, listening to you so that we can understand, meet, and exceed your expectations. One location, 14 bays, 88 years of automotive expertise, and a passionate commitment to customer service and excellence. My name is Lee Weatherby, and I approve this message because it's true. We love what we do, and we want to do it for you. Accurate Automotive, the home of friends serving friends.
Alrighty, welcome back to Bumper to Bumper Radio. I am Matt Allen. Dave Riccio is standing by my side. And every single Saturday, we are your KTAR car guys. And we are singing about money today. You can spend your money on fixing the car. You can waste your money buying a new one. You can save some money fixing your car. Actually, I should say, by saving some of that money that you didn't spend buying a new car, you can put a heck of a lot in a savings account. So we can help you work through any kind of car repair situation you have, any kind of car buying situation you have. It really is to take the stress away. So to get involved in this show, whatever you want to talk about, 602-277-5827. It's 602-277-KTAR. You can text us at 411923. And so just a recap, just talking about the cost of owning a car for 10 years, whether you have one car for 10 years or two cars over the period of 10 years. The math proves it's better to keep the car for 10 years.
If you want more money in your pocket.
If you want more money in your pocket.
If you don't, that's okay.
Yeah, hey, if you got lots, if you got that big old fat stack where you sit crooked because the wallet's so thick,
Mine has receipts in it.
That's
why it's so thick.
Costanza wallet. More power to you. But there's something to be said about fixing the car, and we factored in the cost of a transmission and a clutch in that 150,000 mile car. That's all in there.
That's all in there. Over the average of everything. That's where those numbers come from. So, and this conversation comes up at my shop all the time because I work at a transmission shop, and they don't exactly give those things away. They're expensive, but someone's with me. They got a car that's got maybe 110,000 miles on it, right? Not to our 150,000 mile mark, but 110,000 miles on it. Let's just say they need a transmission, and let's just say it's going to be $2,800. They say, $2,800. I don't want to. That's a lot of money. And they say, what would you do if it was you? Well, I'm selling transmissions. What do you think I'm going to do? No, I'm teasing.
Right.
I'm teasing. But I tell them, well, it's not, you got a $2,800 problem, and what is the resolution is to go fix it with $35,000 on a different car. So $2,900 problem, $35,000. So we disconnect from that math. The other comment that comes up is they say, well, the car is only worth $8,000. Why would I put $4,000 into it? Just use that number, for instance. So, well, that would matter if you were in the business of buying and selling cars. But last I checked, you're not, because I saw where you work, whatever.
The value is in the use of the car.
The value is in the use of the car. So I get why they go there, because sometimes we're talking about a car that's only worth $3,000, and I'm asking for $2,900. Basically, same situation goes on. Yeah, I wouldn't do it if I was in the business of buying and selling cars. But if I'm in the business of ownership and I'm in the business of lowest cost per mile and the most money in my back pocket, well, it makes good sense to fix that car as long as the rest of the car is in good shape and has been maintained.
You know what I hate to hear people saying, I kind of have to talk them off the ledge a lot, and it happens. They're forced with a big repair or something comes up and they said, gosh, I'm just tired. I've already put new tires on the car, and I put new brakes last year, and I just got done spending some money over here at this other place, and I'm just tired. I'm not going to spend that extra $1,500 or $2,000, or let's just call it $3,000. You're driving an $8,000 car, maybe a $10,000 used car. You can go sell it for a few grand, and then take that same money that you were going to put into it. You can't go buy a used car that you just got new tires put on. Don't let that money that you already spent go to waste before making, because don't let it push you off the edge necessarily. You got to have a reasonable conversation about it. The other line that I use a lot is the best used car to buy is your own used car. Because if you're going to put $5,000 into a car or $4,000 or whatever it is, you couldn't take the value of your used car broken, the value of the money that we're going to spend fix it, and you combine those two, and you go out and shop for a used car, that same value of money, you won't find it as good of a used car as the one you already own after we fix it for that same sum total.
Well, and here's the thing. People say, well, yeah, I'm not going to go fix a $2,900 problem with $30,000 on a new car. I'm going to go buy a good used car. And I say, well, listen, half the cars we work on are cars that people just bought because they, every now and then they'd feel a little glitch or a little issue, a little idiosyncrasy they never really wanted to dig into or find out about. They're like, I'm going to trade it off or I'm going to sell it to some guy. It only shows up after 30 minutes or 45 minutes of driving. No one will really know, It's funny. We all want people to be credible and honest, but it's funny when people sell used cars, private party or dealership, they don't always sell you a great car.
Well, yeah. So the same. I think the point there, the same people that are telling us, "I'm just going to go trade this car in," you're buying the car that they just traded in broken because they didn't want to. So it gets back to hanging on to your old car. So we can banter this out all kinds of different ways. Look up at that oil change sticker, maybe pull out that last receipt where they got, and let's talk about it. 602-277-5827. And if you're the shy type that likes to text, you can do that at 411-923. But, Dave, maybe we need to get to a phone call.
Let's go with Jimmy in Scottsdale. He's got a 2015 Jeep Grand Cherokee. How can we help you, Jimmy? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Yeah, we have a Jeep 2015, and we continuously have to put, it's a four-cylinder. We have to continually put oil in it every 750 miles. Is that something normal for that four-cylinder? And also, it seems to have no power
How many miles are on that?
68,000.
Okay, so it's got pretty good miles for the year. I mean, you're averaging 20,000 miles a year. Have you been really good on your oil changes? I mean, you religiously doing 3,000 to 5,000 miles with a good quality oil?
Yeah, it goes to the dealership every 3,000 miles for oil changes.
Well, I think that a quart and 750 miles is excessive.
That's a lot.
Now, if you would have said, hey, I've screwed up, I haven't done my oil changes, I overcook it by 5,000 miles on a regular basis, we've got some issues. But if you have a service history with the dealership every 3,000 miles, I don't know if that's one of those ones that's still in the powertrain warranty, and I don't know how long it's been burning this oil, but somebody probably needs to take a look at that. Whether we've got a mechanical problem, a ring problem, it's amazing what the manufacturers call normal these days.
I know. It used to be, their numbers have really changed as far as what's acceptable as far as oil use. But that seems like a heavy amount. And I would ask them about it when I'm in there getting my oil change. Say, man, I'm putting cord in this thing every 750 miles.
Yeah, because if you're going 3,000 miles, that's 4 quarts of oil. That's the engine capacity. And it's a 4-cylinder. That's almost the entire engine oil capacity in one oil change cycle. That is not normal. There's no way.
It's like owning some of those European cars that leak oil a lot. You never really have to change the engine oil because you're always adding oil, so it's always fresh.
Well, the joke on the Mercedes used to be when it starts to leak oil, we'll just put a new, they have the big trays underneath that everybody rips off on the curbs. Well, their Mercedes are really nice because they've got this huge tray, and they want the luxury car to be nice and quiet inside. So it's got this really dense foam pad underneath there. So we would joke when it starts to leak oil, you just put a new shield on. It's like having a tray of kitty litter. Well, it's just because it's not hitting the ground. If it's not hitting the ground, it must not be leaking. You know what I mean? So,
right.
But that's not true.
Well, I think the real thing, if you do want to keep more money in your back pocket and spend less on repair, is really to be proactive about your maintenance in your car. The other thing that's important, don't get shoddy maintenance on your car. If you're going to do it right. If you get it done wrong for $10, and right for 11, spend 11.
Well, and also the other point is here, we want to take the stress out. So if you're planning for this, when your car breaks down, you're not freaking out. You're not at the counter going, oh, my God, how am I going to pay for this? Why? It just takes all the stress away. So plan accordingly, and you're going to have happy ownership. You listen to Matt and Dave, the KTAR car guys, and we will be right back with you in a few minutes.
Good friends, good golf, all for a great cause. Bunker to Bunker 7th Annual Fall Frolic 2-person scramble, benefiting Phoenix Children's Hospital, is Saturday, September 29th at the legendary Arizona Biltmore Golf Club. Mercedes-Benz of Scottsdale joins us to offer tons of great prizes, as well as an all-expense-paid trip for one team to play in the Mercedes-Benz Dealer Championship at the Four Seasons Resort and Club in Las Colinas, Texas. Entry is just $95, and all players receive a coupon for a second round of golf. Register today at bunkergolf.com.
What's more stressful than an unplanned car repair?
Easy. A car accident.
A collision is stressful, but the repair process doesn't have to be. Hi, Dave and Matt here from Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Here's a couple tips for you. Number 1, you should choose your collision shop, not the insurance company. You have the right by Arizona law to choose the shop you want.
Simply click on the Collision Team tab at bumpertobumperradio.com for the best body, collision, and paint shops that we trust and recommend to all our customers.
Here's what Carrie from Tempe had to say about her experience with Good Works Auto Repair.
As soon as you realize, I need to get some work done on my car, I'm sure the thought occurs to you that you're about to get taken for a ride. I used to share the same sentiment and wondered if the shop was going to make something up and have me spending hundreds of dollars instead of $30 I was planning on for a simple oil change. This is one of the reasons I will only go to Good Works Auto Repair. Because I trust them. Putting trust in an auto shop didn't come easily. It's been built over several visits with them doing exactly what was needed, not coercing me into unnecessary work. Ask them for an oil change and a safety inspection, they do just that. No baloney, list of filters, belts, and whatchamacallits that need replacing on my new car. Thank you, Good Works Auto Repair, for being there for me when I need you.
Appreciate the kind words. It's always a pleasure. Glenn Hayward here. Come experience what award-winning auto service should be. Good Works Auto Repair in Tempe, or visit us at goodworksautorepair.com.
Hi, I'm Dave Riccio, owner of Tri-City Transmission. Well, you may have come to know us for being a transmission expert. What you may not know is that our customers regularly ask us why we don't perform repairs to the rest of the vehicle. You guys are so great. Why work on just the transmission? Well, the request became hard to ignore, and 3 years ago, we began to build an infrastructure to perform general automotive repair. We weren't going to do general repair if we couldn't be great at it. So in 2013, we began the soft opening of Tri-City Auto Repair on Smith Road. We brought on ASE Master Technicians to work side by side with our Master Transmission Technicians. The combination of the best in both of these trades has created a synergy that allows us not only to fix your transmission, but to service and repair your whole car, and to do it well. Let's face it, the modern car has become so integrated. We believe all of our expert knowledge puts us ahead of the curve. Find us at TricityTransmission.com or TempeAutoRepairShop.com. That's TempeAutoRepairShop.com.
Arizona's news station. KTAR, on air, 92.3 FM, online at KTAR.com, and streaming live on the KTAR News app. Your breaking news and traffic now.
KTAR News Time is 11:31. I'm Mark Carlson. People across Washington, D.C. are honoring Senator John McCain as a motorcade brought his body from the U.S. Capitol to the National Cathedral with a brief stop at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial.
Washington tourists honoring John McCain's service as his wife Cindy laid a wreath at the Vietnam Memorial. Retired New Hampshire politician Tim Lozin praising the senator for avoiding personal attacks.
I so admire John McCain because he never stooped to that level. He hit hard, but he never stooped to a personal level.
Official Washington mourning not just the man, but a time when politicians could disagree without insult. Andy Field, ABC News, Washington.
Amid the mourning remembrances and prayers for Aretha Franklin at her Friday funeral, there were also demands for respect for Black America, including her civil rights support. Many of the speakers at her service called on others to register and turn out to vote in November, while condemning President Trump, who upon her death referred to Franklin as someone who worked for me. The comment rankled many African Americans. Traffic and weather now. Mike Daniels in the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center.
Well, thanks, Mark. In Tempe, got a crash blocking the shoulder, Loop 202 westbound at McClintock. Crash at 35th Avenue in Osborne, and a wreck at 51st and Glendale Avenues to watch out for. This report brought to you by Renters Warehouse. Find the right tenants for your home by going to renterswarehouse.com today. Renters Warehouse. Great tenants live here. I'm Mike Daniels, KTAR News.
KTAR weather for the Valley today, sunny to partly cloudy with a high of 105. Tonight, partly cloudy, low of 80 degrees. We have currently 96 degrees in Phoenix. Weather brought to you by Howard Air. I'm Mark Carlson on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
KTAR News, winner of 3 Edward R. Murrow Awards this year for excellence in journalism and breaking news coverage. Because real news matters now more than ever. KTAR News, 92.3 FM, Arizona's news station.
Honesty and integrity, it's the only option. Hi, Spencer Doucet for H&I Automotive. H is for honesty and I is for integrity. We've built our business on these 2 principles.
Hi, this is Danny Grant.
And I'm Paul Garcia.
We're Spencer's business partners. Originally, we were customers that were referred by friends to check out this great shop in Mesa. We saw for ourselves how special the experience was at H&I.
Yep, we went from raving fans to good friends to enthusiastic partners when Spencer was looking to expand his business to the East Valley.
Thanks, guys. The overwhelming support from our customers, families, and partners has allowed us to celebrate the opening of our second, brand new, state-of-the-art location in Gilbert. 2 locations, same principles. Quality service at a great value that you can count on for all your automotive needs. Backed with an industry-leading 60-month, 60,000-mile parts and labor warranty. We invite you to check us out at HNIautomotive.com.
Few cities are as car-centric as Phoenix, and this is the show that'll help you to better understand that machine you depend on to get around the valley. It's Bumper to Bumper Radio. KTAR News on 92.3 FM and the KTAR app for Android and iPhone.
Well, welcome back to Bumper Radio. I'm Dave Riccio here along with Matt Allen, and we are your KTAR car guys. Bumper to Bumper Radio is a show to put you in the know as far as what are the norms of getting your car fixed. So when you go to the auto repair shop and they call you up and they say, wah, 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 $1,500, because that's all I think all you hear. You'll know, have a certain idea or comfort level about what they may be talking about. So I'm going to put you in the know about that. The other thing that Bumper to Bumper Radio is a network of auto repair shops. You can go to bumpertobumperradio.com. I see there's a lot of orphan customers out there. They go from shop to shop to shop, wherever the coupon deal is, but they don't have a shop to call their own. It'd be like picking a different pediatrician every time you take your kid into the doctor. You wouldn't want to do that. So when it comes to auto repair, if you are an orphan customer and you need a shop, go to bumpertobumperradio.com. There's a list of great shops on there all over the valley. You can go find Virginia Auto in Central Phoenix. That's Matt Allen's shop standing next to me. He's just one of the many shops there that are going to take care of you. Any of those shops on there, you can go in there, and I tell you, no one's going to do you wrong or play any games or gimmicks. They're going to do right by you. That's why we endorse them, because we're happy to, because they're people that have what I call white hats. You know, there's white hats and there's black hats. We've got phone calls rolling in. We've got Jake and we've got Charlie and we got Scott, and we got room for more at 602-277-5827, 602-277 KTAR. Let's go with.
I wanted to say something real quick about the orphan customer. I had one. I thought one of our regular customers in the shop. We've seen her a couple of times, and she had a problem with her car, and we recommended some fuel cleaning services and spark plugs and normal maintenance. And then she comes in for the spark plugs, and we said, "Well, do you want to take care of the fuel cleaning services?" Oh, I already had that done at the dealer. Okay, but then I'm going out, but she has a problem with the car. It's pinging. Okay. So as I go out to drive it with her to verify this noise of a ping, because we also heard a tire noise, a rumble going down the road that had a wheel alignment issue, but the car would ping or detonate, like going up the hill when a car gets too hot or bad gas or something. But then I noticed then she has a Pennzoil sticker in her window. So I said, I forget what her name was, ma'am. I said, you're what we call an orphan customer. You were here 7,000 miles ago. But then you went to the dealer and you did half of what we suggested there, and then you went to the oil change place and got something done there. I said, I would love to be able to take care of you, everything you need in your car. I hope it's me, but please just pick one shop and stay there. It's the best thing for you.
Right. Yeah, because then you don't get duplicate maintenance or holes in your maintenance, that kind of thing. We want to make that car go 150,000 miles over 10 years, so you got more money in your pocket. That's what we're after.
You don't get suggestions like, oh, it's due by mileage. That's not anything. That's just mileage surfing, looking for repairs when maybe you just had it done. So.
Well, let's go with Charlie in Casa Grande. He's got a 2007 Ford Freestyle. How can we help you, Charlie? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hello, thanks for taking my call. I have a 2007 Ford Freestyle with the CVT transmission, and I don't have any problems with it, but I hear that transmission isn't worth fixing, or that nobody fixes them. All you can do is replace them. Is that true?
Well, how many miles are on your Freestyle, Charlie?
108,000, I think.
108,000, and everything's working good? Well, there is CVTs, some of them are being rebuilt, okay, and the Freestyle is one that we are rebuilding. It's starting to, more and more parts are starting to become available on them. But just because, CVT is not my favorite transmission. There's no argument about that. I don't like them. It doesn't mean you're going to have a problem with it. Because some people think, well, I go on the internet and I Google CVT transmission, I find all the bad stuff. Start going on the internet and Google other cars, and you'll find all the problems. You can find a bunch of bad stuff.
You can find anything you want to support whatever feeling you have. I don't care if it's car repair, emotionally, relationship-wise. You can support whatever you want to support on Google.
Even picking news channels, right?
Yeah, exactly. But, Dave, speaking of the CVT transmissions, what we're finding is that let's make a broad stroke statement. They seem to be prematurely failing. So I think the biggest thing, and what I recommend to my customers, is we just need to service them more frequently. The CVTs are extra specially sensitive to heat of the transmission. Is that correct, Dave? Am I understanding that right?
A lot of heat with them, and then it's a chain rubbing on metal cones, and the chain's kind of rubber and metal all together, so it just needs really good lubrication. Under a microscope, if you look at CVT fluid, it's got way higher math in the additive package. There's a lot more additives in it to make it do what it does. So with that word of caution, don't take your CVT to Jimmy Lube on the side of the road there to get it serviced. You need it to be serviced by a professional that knows how the transmission works. But he's got 110,000 miles on it. He's not even experiencing problems. I have 80,000-mile transmissions that aren't CVTs that have problems.
Yeah.
So, there's some good and there's some bad.
But if you are driving a car with a CVT and the owner's manual says 100,000 miles,
don't believe them.
Bad news. I think realistically it's a 30,000-mile service on the CVT transmission. I don't care what brand car the transmission's in, because a lot of them have the same transmission, just a different attached to a different badge.
That's right. Same people making it. So thanks for the call, Charlie. 602-277-5827. We've got Jake on the line, but we're going to go with Scott in Mesa. He's got a 2001 Ford Taurus. How can we help you, Scott? You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hey, Matt and Dave. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
Hey, I have this 2001 Ford Taurus. I got it for my granddaughter, and she drove it forever. And then all of a sudden it was parked in front of my house for about 6 months. And I said, hey, what's the problem with it? And she goes, it won't pass emissions. And she goes, if you can get it fixed, you can have it. So I got it fixed. It's been a great car. Now it's got 175,000 miles on it. Runs great, air's good, radio works. But now when I go to shift, it takes a second for it to go into drive. Now reverse goes right in, but drive, it takes like 22 seconds before it engages. Is that a sensor or what? I know it's probably an easy fix.
I know it's probably.
170,000 miles, you put it into drive, and are you saying before it actually engages in drive, it delays 22 seconds?
No, 2 seconds.
2 seconds? Nah, 2 seconds is not. I get out of bed slower than I did 10 years ago. Doesn't mean I'm bad or you got to put me out to pasture. Just means I'm a little older than I used to be. 2 second delay to drive doesn't freak me out at all. I'm not worried about it.
But it kind of jams in, you know what I mean? It's not smooth like it used to be.
Well, but then you've got it, Dave. I agree with you. It's not that big of a deal. But you start the car, you're on the fast idle. Mm-hmm. So we need to look at this in its totality, not just I have a 2 second delay and it slams, because you have it. Wait till wintertime comes and the thing's got a little bit of a higher idle when cold, and so you got to look at it in the totality. Maybe you've got a bad motor mount, and that's why it jams, and it's got nothing to do with the transmission. And it just happens it does on a cold start, because cold start's got a 1,200 RPM idle instead of a 750 RPM idle.
And then the other way, too, is sometimes you use slow engagements, you have a low idle. So reverse is typically more pressure, so a lot of times reverse will be stronger, but it needs to be diagnosed, and he said maybe just a sensor. There I'm not thinking of any sensors. It's just manual valve, you're putting it into gear. I'm not thinking sensor-wise. But you will notice, though, that cars start to have winter or morning sickness in the winter when they're starting to get older and they're starting to develop hard seals in the transmission. A lot of that stuff starts to show up.
And the power steering noises, because everything's contracting and hardening and
For sure. So we got a text here. This gentleman has a 2007 Chevy Silverado, the check engine light.
We interrupt our programming to activate the Arizona Amber Alert. Important information will follow. This activation of the Arizona Amber Alert comes at the request of the Phoenix Police Department. This is an Amber Alert from the Phoenix Police Department. Police are looking for 2 children. They are 8-year-old Victor Coronado Nunez and 5-year-old Jonathan Coronado Nunez. Victor Coronado Nunez is a Hispanic male, 4 feet tall, 60 pounds, brown eyes and brown hair. Jonathan Coronado Nunez is a Hispanic male, 3 feet tall, 45 pounds. Both children went missing from 32nd Avenue and West Van Buren Street. Police are also looking for 47-year-old Demas Coronado. He is 5 feet inches tall, 180 pounds, wears a mustache, has brown eyes, brown hair, wears glasses at times. He is the biological father of the missing children. He may be driving a 2009 white Chevrolet Silverado 4-door truck, Arizona temporary license tag 43644T, lifted with custom rims. If you have any information regarding this abduction, Call the Phoenix Police Department or 911. Please be listening for additional alert messages and updates on this situation. This has been an abducted child alert from the Arizona Amber Alert.
Well, I think we're back, guys. So we had to get a quick break there for an Amber Alert, and hopefully they get those kids found and reunited back where they're supposed to be. So I don't know what happened to the call.
Well, we had we'll get Jake, and then we got Monty, and I was talking about this text here. A gentleman's got a 2007 Chevy Silverado. Check engine light is on. Had the codes checked, small evaporative leak. He's replaced the fuel cap, and the light is still on. He has no ideas, but he hates to send it to the shop for something simple like that. It sounds simple, but it's probably one of the more commonly misdiagnosed things, the evaporative leak. You know, and everybody does it different. Toyota handles it one way. Ford handles it a different way. Chrysler handles it a different way. BMW handles it a different way. They all have a different technology in the way they do it. And some technicians are really good at understanding the technology and how they do it and fixing it. But also, you're looking for a small leak. Let's just talk about a pinhole. Okay, we got to find this pinhole leak. We'll actually load the system full of smoke to try and see where the smoke comes out. We'll smoke it out. But there's a series of valves and things that you got to close to make that happen to test the system. So it sounds simple. And it's the most commonly ignored code that people have in their car that they will ignore. So it's something that, you know, other than just a fuel cap, I mean, people throw a fuel cap on there because that may be an easy fix and you may get lucky and avoid all that other stuff. Great. You tried the easy thing, didn't work, now you're going to have to spend some money to get it done.
Well, and I hate sometimes to charge people $100 to tell them you got a bad gas cap.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, remember, when we're doing a diagnosis, just because it had a bad gas cap doesn't make the testing any easier.
No, you still had to go,
we still have to go
dot your I's and cross your T's.
Process. But on that same topic, we had a young lady bring her Toyota truck in. She had been at the auto parts store where they checked the code in the parking lot, and she said, my check-in light is on. I went to the auto parts place, and they said the code was for a bad gas cap, and it should turn off. There is no code that says you have a bad gas cap. We checked the code. It was for an evaporative system leak. Back in the day, the first thing used to be common was the gas cap. It's not the gas cap as common anymore. So then what she did, she had a Toyota. She bought an aftermarket gas cap that is probably worse than her used Toyota gas cap, and that wasn't the problem anyway. We had to diagnose it. It had a valve. So again, sounds simple, but it's not. And then we had lost Jason, I think, during the break. So we'll try and get back to during the envelope. So
well, we do have Jake and Monty, and we'll be right back. You listen to Matt and Dave, your KTAR Car Guys on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Having an accident is stressful. Dealing with the repair process shouldn't be. Hi, Leo Petrozella for Campus Body Salon. We've taken the stress out of collision repair since 1973, and here's a couple of tips to de-stress your repair. Make your own choice. Some insurance companies try to convince you that you must use their approved shop for your repair. Not true. Arizona state law allows you to choose the facility that's right for you. Beware of the cheapest estimate. Typically, it's the one from the insurance company cutting corners to trim costs or focusing on appearance only. At Campus Body Salon, appearance is important, but structural integrity and safety are even more critical. Campus Body Salon, independent, family-owned and operated, and bumper-to-bumper radio approved. Check out our Cash for Your Crash program, where we pay you 10% off of your repair up to $1,000. Campus Body Salon, the best care in collision repair.
Trust. It's hard to earn and sometimes even harder to find. If you live or work in downtown Phoenix, Matt Allen's Virginia Auto Service is celebrating over 20 years of award-winning service at the corner of 7th Street and Virginia. Recognized as one of the best service shops in the country, their customers have come to trust Virginia Auto Service for its A+ rating by the BBB, 2-year 24,000-mile warranties, and free transportation to and from your home or office. 20+ years of earning your trust. Virginia Auto Service. They're serious about service.
Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic. If your car hurts, take it to Kurt's.
That's our closing line, Pops.
I know, Jeff. Just reinforcing that we're full-service auto repair.
At Kurt's Auto Repair, we do it all, including diesel.
We have the passion, training, equipment, and expertise for diesel. Our techs are ASE certified for diesel and advanced diesel diagnostics. Toy hauling, horse trailering, off-roading, or work trucking, we've got you covered.
Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic. If your car hurts, take it to Kurtz. Check us out at mycarhurts.com.
The sound of that cash register changing away is the sound that you will have if you do proper maintenance and repair on your car. And that's how we started out talking about the show in the very beginning. If you're just tuning in, the difference between owning one car for 10 years or owning two cars for 10 years. It's an astonishing amount of money. When Dave and I did the math, it's roughly $8,000 to $12,000, and we've proved this out a couple different methods to come back up with that number. So if you want to save money, take care of your car. And if you missed out on that first part of the show, bumpertobumperradio.com is where you can find podcasts and other past shows, and you can search by topic. Maybe you want to find something about a radiator we talked about, or just pick it up. Type in your search term, and might find a couple shows that relate to something that you're interested in. And again, that's at bumpertobumperradio.com.
Well, let's go with Jake. He's got a 2013 Silverado. Thanks for your patience, Jake. You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio. How can we help you?
Hey, yeah, thanks, guys. Mine's an AC question. I have 109,000 miles on my Silverado, and so I run the AC, and it runs cool normally, and I'll be going along, and then all of a sudden it'll start blowing hot. And then I have the knobs controls on my Silverado, and so I'll jiggle a little bit, and then all of a sudden it'll blow cool for a little while, and then it'll blow hot again. And then some days it'll just stay cool. Just kind of wondering what you all think about that.
Which knob do you jiggle?
I can either jiggle the one that turns it from hot to cold, or I can actually jiggle sometimes the control that turns it up and down, the volume, air volume, and both seem like they help.
What if you?
But I know for a fact the one with the hot and cold, that definitely is the one that usually does it.
Okay. What if you don't jiggle at all?
It'll run hot.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I would have.
Sorry, go ahead.
I would venture to say we're starting to have an issue with a blend door problem, or possibly with the control head.
Yeah, I was going to say that thinking the control head, that's why I asked what if you don't jiggle. Maybe it's just coincidental you're jiggling. Mm-hmm. So maybe instead of jiggling a button, I think on that Silverado you've got the radio, and then below the radio is the AC controls. Try just giving just a light smack on the top of the dash and see if that affects it. But I'm less inclined to think a blend door issue and more inclined to think maybe we have a problem with the circuit board or something inside that controller.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those two, but that's where the diagnostic work is going to come on, and somebody plugging into it. If I was diagnosing it, I'd be operating that motor, electric motor, inside the dash. What that's doing is it's mixing the hot and the cold air to give you the temperature that you're looking for, and that's. In my car, I've got a problem with one of my blend doors, and when I get into it and turn the car on, it's blazing hot. It's blowing hot air out at me. And what I'll do is I'll just cycle the temperature, and it comes back to cold. And I know the blend door is bad.
It helps find its home, I guess. So
exactly.
AC can be tricky. But it's probably not a charge issue. There's something to go with the controller. And when you talk about controlling that with the scan tool, don't get confused with the scan tool that maybe we use at my shop, or we just want to go out and do a quick code check and Acme Auto Parts.
Mm-hmm.
That just kind of is a quick code check.
That's it.
When we go into the shop, we don't use that thing. That's useless in a shop. We have, it's got bi-directional controls, so we can sit there with our laptop and roll your windows up. We can make the car hotter. We can make it colder. We can turn on fans. We can simulate all the things that the car's computer is trying to do or wants to do, and help us do the diagnosis that way.
Thanks so much for the call, Jake. Let's go with Monty in Phoenix. He's got a 2013 Jeep Compass. How can we help you, Monty? You are on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Yeah, I've got just had the transmission replaced a couple months ago at a dealership because my regular shop said, hey, it's a CVT transmission. It's a dealership item. So it was replaced a couple months ago, and now it's starting to do the same thing again, the jerking as you accelerate. and it's really bad when the car is hot and the temperature outside is hot. Is there anything else that could be causing those symptoms since they just replaced the transmission?
Yeah, it's a couple things you said. You said, my regular shop said it's a CVT, so it's a dealership item. That's not true. Okay, a lot of people are capable of working on CVTs that aren't necessarily the dealership for sure. So just because you got a new transmission, it's new to the car, but it's not. It's rebuilt or been redone, and we are just assuming that that's a good transmission. Sometimes these ones they put at the dealership fail right out of the box. Could have a problem with that. The other thing is on those compasses, I generally like to add an auxiliary transmission cooler because they are hot-blooded and they do run hot. So we could have another issue going on. When CVTs start running hot for one reason or another, maybe we got poor cooler flow, the transmission cooler could be blocked up, we could have an issue there. There could be something else going on. And what if your first transmission wasn't really bad, it was just overheating because of something else going on in the vehicle? So that maybe the original problem wasn't diagnosed. That's another thought that goes through my brain. So I would take it back to the dealership, tell them what you got going on, say, hey, listen, it's doing exactly the same thing. And when they start to get hot, that chain and cone system that I was talking about earlier, it starts skipping, and it's jerky. And so the other thing that Jeeps will do is they'll start to whistle and make weird noises when they get hot. So
and a lot of times too, the dealership they only follow what's inside the box. It's the graph. You line this line up with this line, and we replace the transmission. They won't put on that aftermarket transmission cooler. So maybe
not unless it's spelled out in some manual.
Yeah, and Monty, that car is well outside, I'm assuming, the warranty. So after you've taken it back and you're satisfied with their answer, it might be a good idea to get to a transmission specialist to have them look at that, because there are improvements that can be made. Like Dave said, add in a cooler. And if you're looking for a transmission shop, once you get settled with the dealer, go to bumper-to-bumperradio.com. You're going to find Tri-City Transmission there. And it doesn't matter if it's a CVT. That mystery in the box is not a mystery to the guys at Tri-City.
It's funny. If I'm working on a Compass and I call up the dealership and I say, hey, there's a filter for the transmission cooler that's inside of the transmission, they'll say, no, we don't show anything like that. But what I know is that's a JATCO transmission. That's Japanese American Transmission Company, and I can call and get a filter for it, and I can change that filter, and that overheating problem you had goes away. So I've done that more than a dozen times when somebody came to me crying because I thought they were going to buy a transmission, and they get a little filter for $20.
Yeah, the dealer doesn't even know they stock it. I mean, I'll take a Volkswagen, for example. You're supposed to replace the brake caliper bolts every time. The dealership's never sold them. I'm like, what, you never done brakes? I'm just picking on Volkswagen. It doesn't matter across the board.
Right. So there's a whole lot more to it. Again, some people have a kind of a narrow scope of what they do and things they can do. And like you said, if it's in the manual, they'll do it. If it's not in the manual, they won't do it. There's a lot of creative ways to fix cars without having to dump a bunch of coin and make it last for 10 years. So we've got Keith. We're going to take you after the end here. Thanks for joining us. If you're looking for a great shop, you can find them at bumper-to-bumperradio.com. Enjoy the Burr months.